Okay, hello. Here we are again, reviewing reviewing more sake today, and this one I'm really excited about because it's two of my favorite sakes all time. I have to admit, this is sort of like the hipster geeky sake geek trendy thing right now, to be into nama genshu muroka, basically unfiltered, unpasteurized, raw sake is really popular right now, I guess. Trendy, to go against the trend, the previous trend of like super low milling rate, super clean, transparent sake. Now it's like cloudy, unpasteurized, unfiltered. Everybody wants to taste that rawness, But I'll probably grow out of it, but right now I'm still in it. I'm slowly growing out of it. But coming from, quick history, coming from the world of craft beer, where it was all about juicy IPAs, like NAPAs, like New England IPAs, cloudy, tasty, frothy, lots of stuff happening. Same when I moved into sake, and I discovered this raw stuff, this namazake, muroka, genshu, all that stuff. It was like a direct parallel. It was amazing. I was so surprised. And taste-wise, it could even be very close to the same thing in the wine world right now, which is vin naturel, natural wine, no pesticides, not much filtration, I guess. Don't really know the details, but vin naturel, natural wine, bio-organic, usually young, taste. You can taste the fermenting nature of it, and orange wines too. That's also in that trend right now, and these wines fall into that. And here we go. So I'm gonna turn off this annoying background. Super annoying. Here we go. Yeah. So here we go. We've got probably, from what I know, the most famous, sorry, I already started it, the most famous example of low milling or no milling, no milling in the rice type of namazake, which is unfiltered, unpasteurized. You see that color? That is as opposite as you can get from like clear, super clean sake, with like 10% milling. This is genmai, so basically brown rice, basically zero milling. I've heard that zero milling actually means 90%. They still have to take off a little bit so that it's usable. I should confirm that, but anyways, it's probably the most famous example of genmai, low to zero milling, raw, unpasteurized, unfiltered sake. And this is Terada Honke's Musuhi. So there you go, Musuhi. And this one, head-to-head comparison today of nama, genmai, brown rice, low milling sakes, head-to-head comparison. Two of my favorites. This one versus the Kidoizumi AFS, which also has a lot of interesting things going on. So hard to tell, but it is also yellow, similar to this guy. But this one has been filtered quite a bit. It's not cloudy, so it's been filtered. But that color, that yellow, comes from the fact that there's no milling almost. They're working with almost brown rice, which has color. And there's a lot of differences, even though I put them in the same category of like currently trendy, raw, nama genshu muroka, genmai, brown rice, low milling. I put them in that category. Still, there's a lot of variation in the method. Terada is known for its toji, its master brewer that does a lot of like fermented experiments. And so, they try to do it as natural as possible, whatever. I'm guessing it's the same with this one, but they're really into like fermenting foods and sakes and using, I think they have an old mother yeast that they reuse. Don't quote me on that. Definitely should have researched that before saying it. But they're really into like natural fermenting stuff. And these guys, it's written on the bottle. Should have translated this ahead of time. But the semi-buai here, it's not overly low. It's not like 100. Like this is genmai 100. It's not. There's no milling, pretty much. This one says semi-buai. Okay, you see, it's not super low actually. It's 65% semi-buai rice polishing rate. So that means that 65% of the grain is left. So they get rid of 35% basically. So when you see rice polishing rate, that's how much is left of the grain. So the semi-buai is 65%, alcohol 13%. It's a 500 milliliter bottle, costs the same as a 750. So it's a bit expensive. This one is cheaper, I would say, but it's a little bit, well, they're both hard to find. They're notorious. Yeah, Terada is notoriously hard to find. It keeps selling out. They have trouble like restocking it. But this one, so semi-buai, so genmai, semi-buai, 100%. So yeah, it's not milled at all. And I was just reading an article that I'll show you later that explains that this is not even, they don't even use koji for this. The mold that you sprinkle on the wet rice to create your starter that you then add to your fermenting mash and the big metal containers to like start building the fermenting. That initial starter, yeast starter, where you use like sprinkled yeast, kojikin, and you make the koji, which is the fermented rice. They don't even do that, which is like de facto. You do that for everything, for any sake. But instead, they germinate the rice. They wet it and they germinate it like in Scotch making, I guess, whiskey. So that's interesting. I didn't even know that. I just read that. I'll show you the article. This, they use koji, but as usual, but they use the hot yamahai method, which is a method that they've used since the 50s, which produces naturally occurring lactic bacteria. So there's lactic acid, which is used for the initial fermenting moto, the initial fermenting batch that is used to build yeast, and then they use that in the big tanks. They add it to the big tanks with more water, more rice to then start the whole thing going. So that initial starter, they call it, the moto or the shubo, you need lactic acid and you need koji rice and more rice and water. And for starting that starter, they use a hot yamahai method, which is specific to them. Really cool. You can research that if you want. Basically, yamahai method is a specific method that involves manual labor. Instead of using store-bought yeast. They don't buy it at any store. It's bought from the Japan Brewers Association. But instead of using that, they make their own lactic acid by using naturally occurring lactic bacteria in the air, by pushing it with sticks, and then it takes weeks, and then eventually, it takes 2 weeks, I think, and eventually turns into lactic acid. So instead of buying it, they make it. They do the same because they use kimoto. Instead of yamahai method, they use kimoto method, which is essentially the same. Different words for different eras, but there are a few differences. But and the hot yamahais, they do yamahai, but they use hot water that's hotter than normal. Also in the article that I'll show you on Sake Times. I think it's Sake Times. And so that specific method that they've used is pretty much unique to Kidoizumi brewery, I think. Pretty sure. I mean, that's what they claim. So anyways, let's get into it. Let's show you the data. Back to the sake map. So these are both from close by. This is from, well, they're both from Chiba. So yeah, super close by. So Chiba is number 12 on the map down here, right next to Tokyo, which is 13. So let's go see where that is. All right, we're sharing our screen. And we're going to start with Terada Honke. So Musuhi this is the website, teradahonke.co.jp. And if you go into their products, here, this is Musuhi. They don't have a big picture of it, but they have a nice explanation of it. See if there's anything interesting. With the translation, it'll be hard to understand, but life there are germinated the brown rice tied to the life of microorganisms who live in elephants. Wow, that makes zero sense. Lactic acid, bacteria, and yeast are alive in the bottle. Yeah, so they both make their own lactic acid, bacteria, and yeast. The yeast part is rare. Not even a lot of breweries that do kimoto yamahai method that produce their own lactic acid, they don't do naturally occurring or spontaneous yeast. That's pretty rare. I don't think Kidoizumi does that, but Terada does. And so let's pour it. Can you hear that? You see, this is an old bottle. It's about a week old, maybe 2 weeks. Maybe I'm lying, but it does that when you open it because it's got a lot of naturally occurring. It's got a lot of naturally occurring carbon dioxide from all the yeast left in the bottle. So, oh man, it's stinky. I can smell it straight up. Oh, man, I should have started with AFS actually, because I've had both and I know the differences, but it's a tasting. So whatever, I'll try to blast through them and give you the overarching points about it. Oh, okay. So super like fermented food stinky. It smells like a lot of fermented foods in Japan. Like you go to the supermarket and you got like fermented beans in little plastic Ziplocs, fermented daikon radish, fermented. I mean, they ferment everything: fish, meat, whatever. But the fermented vegetables, the tsukemono that they serve as side dishes, and a lot of Japanese cuisine smells like that. And there's a specific kind of tsukemono, which uses sake lees for fermenting the vegetables or whatever. Sake lees is the leftover rice from sake making, which obviously smells and tastes a lot like sake. And they reuse it. A lot of it is sold as pig feed after, but animal feed. But a lot of it is used for pickling vegetables and foods, fish, whatever. It gives that sake taste to whatever you put it with. And obviously it smells like that, but it smells like fermented goodness, that white fermenty mushy stuff, like paste that's like with those vegetables. All right, let's go in. Oh, it's still sparkly, still fizzy. That's great. That's one big attribute of Musuhi, the sparklingness. Oh man, it smells like an old shoe, like the sock smelling sweaty shoe that doesn't stink overly in your closet, but if you put your nose in it, yeah, that sort of soft leather chukka thing, whatever, like little leather slipper shoe that stinks, or that has a little bit of that sweat smell in it. This is like Burgundy wine, where you're like, the more it smells like horse shit, the more expensive the wine is. That's that barnyard smell. It's a bit like that, but the Japanese version. This is so interesting. I heard that the Musuhi was actually on the menu at Noma, like world's best number one rated restaurant for many years in Denmark and Copenhagen. So that would make sense because this is totally in the line of like, top level weird food, hard to find, thing you got to try once in your life type of thing. I like it a lot. Tasting notes. So it's got that weird stinky leather shoe thing going, but in taste wise, it's sour. That's what's very different from normal sake. It's sour. It reminds me of natural wine, like sourness. And that's from the lactic acid, the naturally occurring lactic acid, most probably, because that's also what happens in spontaneously fermented beer, lambic from Belgium. The notes are very similar. The sour beer from there It reminds me very much of natural wine and of this, of this raw namazake, made from genmai brown rice. It must be from the lactic acid because they have that in common. And also natural occurring yeast, you would think. But who knows, one or the other, or both. So it tastes like that fermented daikon, takuan, as they say in Japanese. Takuan is a fermented daikon radish used in Japanese cuisine all the time. Yeah, this is that those big white radishes fermented, they turn yellow. It tastes like that a little bit, but it's sour and it's sweet. A little bit of sweetness, a lot of sourness, and a lot of funk, and the funk being this takuan. Pickle juice if you want, but not like pickle like in America, but more like this sort of daikon, like Japanese type of pickle. It's a lighter, funky. It's not for everybody, but I like it a lot. And this goes super well with food, man, especially if you're eating in Japan. Works super well. So that's Terada Honke, right? And yeah, if you go on the website, teradahonke.co.jp, and you translate this, just install the Google Translate translation on Google Translate Chrome extension or plugin on your favorite browser, and you translate it to English, and it explains the whole philosophy of doing things naturally with natural yeast and things like that, and natural using the kimoto method for natural lactic acid. Lots of interesting stuff. So the color in this thing, you can't really see the picture very well on this website. The pictures are really small, but that's the color. It's even on freaking Amazon in Japan, amazon.co.jp, for a ridiculous price. Because if you buy it at a store, it's 1,500, not 4,600 like this. 1,500 yen. JPY and USD. What's the conversion? $13. Man, it's so cheap. That's what I love about sake. It's so cheap. It's ridiculous. And this is like the top of the line for this style, if you like this style. Top of the line. It's $13. Fuck. It's so different from wine and beer. It's ridiculous. I love it. Anyway, so this is Terada Honke. And where is Terada? It's Kidoizumi. Oops, I messed up my tabs. Terada is here in Chiba. So they're both from Chiba prefecture. This one is from the edge of Chiba, in a village called not Kitada, Katori. So this is the address right here. And they do an amazing festival every year. They didn't do it because of COVID this year and the last, I think. So they have a lot of extra sake. Well, not at Terada, but most breweries have a lot of extra sake, selling it at crazy prices. And there's a lot of cool stuff on the market right now because of that, even though it's bad for the breweries because they have to sell it cheap. It's too bad. But they do this amazing in the spring when the new sake, well, no, it's not when the new sake, it's when, I don't know, in the spring, they do this crazy festival. Most breweries do that. And I went to Katori, to Terada Honke for the festival once, and it was packed. So popular, man. For people who like this, natural wine, natural beverage, whatever stuff, super popular. It was packed, and you can try everything that they have. It was so great. They had I think they have like maybe 8 or so regular sakes, and they had all kinds of stuff that's non-regular sakes, things that they only have at the brewery. It was so fantastic. I really recommend it. If I even search in English, Terada Honke Matsuri festival, basically, it's probably going to be pictures. Yeah. Well, anyways, yeah, they show you the rice making when you go to the brewery for the festival. So they show you the whole process. That's the koji making. Yeah, it's so fun. Oh, that's the toji, I think. The sun. Anyway, so that's Terada Honke. Fantastic stuff, man. So good. Oh, shit. Okay, so technically, I forgot to mention all the technicalities last time in the first video. So it's genmai, namazake, semi-burai 100%, rice polishing rate 100%. So it's genmai, brown rice. It's kimoto, I think everything they make is kimoto. Sorry, excuse me. I should have totally translated all of this, but okay. Anyways, that's what that is. Alcohol percentage, do they mention? Yeah, 12. Oh, it's pretty low, 12.5%. It's a 720 bottle. That's about it. Now Kidoizumi. Okay, wait. Let's I'm trying to run through this because I don't want it to be too long. Now, I don't like this chart, like I said last time, but we'll use it for now. What could we? Oh, we're gonna have to make this yellow, right? For Terada. So aromatic, yeah, it's very stinky. How sweet is it? It's not super sweet. I'd say it's half sweet because it's mostly sour. I mean, there is sweetness, but it's overridden by the sourness. Richness, not so much because there's a lot of the sourness cuts through the richness and it leaves an overwhelming acidity. So I'll put that pretty low. Very savory though. That's okay. In this case, this chart is interesting because you can have richness low and savoriness high, which is very good for this sake. Restrained, 0 restrained. That's a weird metric. Dry, quite dry, but it's juicy. There's some juiciness, or you get like the sweet tarts, like the puckering of your cheeks because of the sourness, and that. So I guess the liquid itself the beverage is not juicy, but the effect is juice in your mouth. Wow, that's really bad. So because of the acidity, let's just make it dry, high, light. No, it's not light at all. There's nothing lighter than this. Floral, fruity. It's not floral or fruit. You could call it fruit. It's more like vegetable-y, but if we're going to talk about esters and fruit and stuff like that, I mean, I have to go high. Aromatic, very high. Wow. Okay, this is a weird result right here, isn't it? Got to find a better graph. But anyways, this is Terada. And for Terada, what are we going to give it? Okay, 85 was for was last time for inemankai. So we'll put that back at inemankai. And I don't, oh shit. Sorry guys. Jesus, okay. Having some application fails here. Okay, here we go. Boom. Okay, so that was that. And now for this, okay, we are here now for Terada Honke. Dude, I like it so much because of the differentiation factor, how different it is. But I would, even though it's weird, I would drink it anytime. It's delicious. It's like it has the same appeal to me as a lambic, like I said before, a lambic sour Belgian beer. And it's very thirst quenching. It's got the funk, which removes from the thirst quenchness factor, but very easy to drink. I would have this all the time. So I have to give it a 90. I like it a lot, maybe 91 just to put it over the 90 edge. Yeah, that's how much I'm sold on this style. Okay, now let's go to Kidoizumi. So what is Kidoizumi? Kidoizumi is the AFS, the small bottle that I showed you earlier, kidoizumi.jp. Go there. Oh shit, there's an English, yeah, kidoizumi.jp/en. There's an English version to it. This is crazy. So Kidoizumi is a brewery from around where I live, in Chiba, near the ocean. And it's famous for a few things. I mean, I didn't know about the hot yamahai method until I read it in the article I'll show you later. But, or until I read about it here on the bottle and on the website. But this guy, the Kidoizumi bottle, the AFS, Kidoizumi makes, like every brewery, they make normal sake too. But I had first heard about them because of their aged sake. Making breweries that make aged sake is very rare, but Kidoizumi specializes in it. So it's rare because you have to have stocks of old sake that you keep aging, and you have to be careful that it doesn't turn and that everything goes well, and like aging, like anything else, I guess. But in sake, it doesn't happen a lot. People don't like to focus on that. It's always about the new batch every year. But Kidoizumi is known for aged sake. And, they have the regular stuff like you can find in supermarkets here in Chiba around the brewery. And that's what's hard about finding sake in general, is it's very local, except for big factories or big brands. And in any case, so yeah, it's close to me. And because I got super excited when we moved here and found out that Kidoizumi was close, I had no idea. So what did I do? I started by drinking their old stuff, which I already knew about, which I loved, like a 1-year-old, 3-year-old, 5-year-old. I think the oldest they have is, I don't really know, but it's not as old as like whiskey, I want to say, but there are some 20-year-old sakes or more. It's very rare. But they got a modern website. This is cool. We insist on brewing sake that is completely free from additives, pesticide, chemical, fertilizer. So it's on the natural sake side of things, which is great. Oh, there you go. There's some AFS being filled up, maybe. And I wish I could find their products. Do they have a product page? Maybe in English, on their English website. Yeah, they only have, they don't show products. They only have the basic explanations. So, okay, there we go. So we'll go to the Japanese side. We'll translate it to English, and now we can see everything. Product information. Let's go see all the products and find AFS. AFS right here. So this, you see this set here? This is a set of aged sake. So you got the non-aged all the way to the pretty aged. 5 old sakes assorted, blah, blah, blah. And this one, I really want to try it. This wooden tub, aged in a wooden tub. I've never tried this one, but the one we have today is this one, the Junmai AFS, badly translated, but it's genshu, as it says here on the link, genshu, which means it's undiluted. Usually sake is diluted to get to like 14-15%, whatever they're aiming for, the taste that they're aiming for. And it also saves cost, but it's not really for that they do it. It's just traditionally they've always done that. They've always added water. Well, recently genshu has become popular, just like non-diluted whiskey or whatever. So yeah, AFS, nice stuff. So here we got all the, I love this. We have all the stats here. So we got some the rice. I wish I should have read what the rice varieties are on this. That's also interesting. But we know we have a rice polishing rate of 65, alcohol 15. The rice, it's a Chiba local rice, I guess. Kome koji kome. It doesn't say what the kind of rice is, I think, the strain. But yeah, this picture doesn't make it justice. It is quite a bit more yellow than the picture would have you think. So I'm going to rinse this glass real quick, a little bit of water, rinse the mouth real quick, rinse the glass. Oh, even that was like stinky. This one is a new bottle, so of course this bottle has an advantage over the Terada Honke, but whatever. Let's just go for it. All right, I'll show you the color. This is beautiful stuff here. So stoked to drink this. Okay, so it's a light, it's like a hay, it's a pale hay color. It's a light yellow, right? See, that's a bad way. On my shirt, there we go. There we go. It's like a 3-year-old whiskey type of thing. Okay, so yeah, you can actually purchase online, which is pretty cool if you're in Japan. Oh, Japanese website, really ugly. Okay, where is Kidoizumi? Kidoizumi is right here at Ohara Station in Chiba. You can walk from the station. I've been there by train. Very easy to get to. And it's on the edge of Chiba near the ocean. And Tokyo is over here on the left. And it takes about 2 hours from Tokyo, I'd say. 2.5, you know. And yeah, that's Kidoizumi, you know. It's got the big cedar ball to show you that marks a brewery. Hatsu Shibori. Oh, that's cool. So the first Shibori sake of the season, which means the first new pressed sake, newly pressed sake. Just looks like an old brewery. Ha ha ha. Little bear with a bottle. Yeah, breweries often have a big chimney because they need that for heating up water to boil rice, steam rice all the time. Some of their products, I guess. Yeah, that's nice. Lots of stuff here. You got some aged sake. Yeah, a lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff. Yeah, so I've been here a couple times. Oh wow, they have sake from 74. Jesus. That's the inside of a brewery. Pretty much always looks like that. So let's go for this, all right? So nose. Oh, so you see that's where Terada was at a disadvantage. It's already like a 1 or 2 week old bottle. So I wasn't nice to it for the comparison. This one's fresh. The AFS bottle is fresh. So you get all the more the sweeter, more fruity floral notes they're still persistent. You're right, they're still there. So it's very fruity, very floral. I'm getting apple wine, as like in Quebec, Canada, where they do a lot of apple wine, cider, like sweet apple cider. It smells like that, but it's got a bit of that Japanese fermented food smell like the other one, but much lighter, very, very light. It's mostly like that, yeah, and apple cider. Notice any spices or flowers per se. Honeysuckle, it smells of honey. Let's go for it. Sourness, I love it. Not as strong as the other one because it's quite a bit sweeter. This one's quite a bit sweeter. A much more equal balance of sweet and sour. The sourness, there's a tartness. It's like a tart, apple, like a green apple with a bit of honey sweetness. And the tartness, I don't know if this touches wood in the aging. I don't think so, but it reminds me of the tannins of like something that's touched wood in a barrel very lightly. So this is a lot easier to drink than the Terada. So it's a head-to-head comparison, supposedly, this time. It's a much more delicate, easier to drink, smoother, sour. So you gotta like that, but smoother sake. It's sort of like if you wanted to make a sake and you said, we want to go towards what Terada is doing, but we want it to appeal to more palates. That's what this feels like. But it's delicious. I could drink under a hot sun in the summer, you know, could drink this a lot, you know, very long and probably longer and easier than the Terada actually. So I'm so impressed by this. I love this. It's so good. So let's do this. Let's do the rating for Kidoizumi Brewery's AFS. So sweet. There is quite a bit of sweetness. I have to put it all the way up, especially in the world of sake. Sweet sake there are some, maybe more nigori, but not that much. So we'll put it pretty high up in the sweet. It's got quite a bit of richness. It's not like an oily richness, a buttery richness, but rich in terms of taste. Does it fill your mouth with taste? Absolutely. Oh shit, my color's black here. I'll change that later. Savory, quite savory. Not like super wood savory like other sakes, like the inemankai red rice sake. Not as savory, but very savory. Restrained, no. A little bit more than Terada though. So instead of going all the way to 0, I'll go to like 30%, 25. Dry, quite dry. We'll go to 80%. Light, not light. We'll go to 30. Floral, fruity, yes, quite so. We'll go to 90. 95. Aromatic, quite, we'll go to 95. And sweet was already there, set to like 85. Okay. Black does not represent Kidoizumi. Let's give it orange. Yeah, that's close to the real color. That's Kidoizumi. And for this guy, what rating will I give it? If I gave 91 to Terada, that's probably a little too high. You know what? I want to give this one, I want it to be higher than Terada because it's I can like it in more situations. I could see that. I could see myself liking it in more situations. I'll give it 92. Man, I'm sold on this kind of sake, on this raw, on low polishing rate. Undiluted genshu, type of sake. Kimoto, especially, also. Oh, this one's yamahai, hot yamahai. Kidoizumi's hot yamahai. Okay, I got to wrap this up. So this is Kidoizumi. This is the article I was talking about, which talks about sake at low milling rates and high milling rates, I believe. And it mentions Kidoizumi. There we go. Chiba Prefecture Brewery Kidoizumi has stayed out of the polishing race from day one. Exactly. This one's a 65% polishing. They haven't gone lower. They didn't want to. They talk about the hot yamahai method. 60%, 60-degree water, natural lactic acid. Yeah, this is great. You should definitely read this if you're into this. So saketimes.com/deep dive /sake_buzz_low_milling. Yeah, it sucks saying that. But yeah, this great article talks about Kidoizumi, talks about Terada as well. Terada Honke for our first sake. So that was our head-to-head, guys. Hope you liked it. I'll do more if you guys are into this. Whatever, I'll do more because I like to do it anyways. And that was the head-to-head AFS, Kidoizumi's AFS versus Terada Honke's Musuhi. Low milling rate, namazake, unpasteurized, genshu, unfiltered, head-to-head sake. That's it. We're out.